week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last stunts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And that's the field for Wednesday's race at Keeneland. And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 319. Mr. Samich.
Huzzah!
There he is. All right, we got a little bit of delay going on. A little bit of a
question.
A little bit of a change up here. We had Monday. The weekend was pretty boring. There was a Grade 1 race at Keeneland that was fun, and that's about a 30-second conversation. So we decided, hey, well, why not mix things up? Keeneland's got a nice card Wednesday. Couple Mike Samich favorites are going to be in that some of the races we're going to talk about. So that was a nice little added bonus. So we're here to talk about that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. How are you doing today, buddy?
Good, man. I'm good. Yeah, I'm pumped. I'm excited that we're able to do Wednesday, too. I had to check the weather. It looks like there's going to be rain on Thursday, but Wednesday we'll get some nice, pristine turf that hasn't been run on a couple days. It's going to get a lot of sunlight. Hopefully we'll dry up a little bit because it was getting a little boggy there for a while at Keeneland on the turf. So excited to get back to the fast and the firm and everything on Wednesday, and hopefully we can nail this pick 4.
Speaking of Keeneland pick 4s, if you tuned in last week when I had Howard guest spotting for you while you were in Washington, D.C. eating delicious steakhouse food, Howard gave out the pick 4 ticket. It was very chalky. It was, I think, 84 and change. But you know what? He hit it for a relatively cheap ticket. So you would have turned a profit, almost gotten 200% return on a very chalky sequence. So congrats if you were able to play that. I went 1 for 4, and it was the last leg where I was the shortest that I ended up doing that. So that was not a great sequence for him, but I feel a little bit better about Wednesdays, partially because the turf course isn't going to be just a bogged down kind of junky mess out there.
Well, I appreciate you trying to glorify this steak dinner I had, but I drove 4 hours to D.C., had a 2.5-hour dinner, and drove 4 hours back. So it wasn't exactly the most wondrous experience, although the steak was very, very good. Highly recommend. It was called DC Prime Steakhouse. Very, very good steakhouse. So definitely worth it. But yeah, it was a in and out type of trip. So I would have rather been here with you. Although I probably wouldn't have hit the pick 4 either if it was $84. That's not my style of pick 4, nor is it yours usually. So glad to hear Howard was able to connect with it. And yeah, looking forward to this Keeneland card on Wednesday. As our Stephanie said, this is a good one. Saturday they had which was the big day, obviously for the tournament. They had that there, and it was tough because you had a lot of those mile and a 16th dirt races. We've talked quite a bit about those and speed there, and we had one that came off the turf. A lot of maiden special weights. And that card, man, that was one of the chalkier days I've seen from Keeneland. I think the favorite won the first 7 races, something crazy like that. You really didn't have too much excitement injected in there.
Well, it'd be a little bit more fun. If nothing else, there isn't a horse that I'm excited to see what you do with in this sequence here, because we just talked about her a week and a half ago. So I'll be real curious what happens there. Big weekend coming up in terms of Keeneland has a pair of 7 furlong dirt sprints for 3-year-olds, one for males, one for females. And I just saw the news that everybody's favorite Soup and Sandwich, who is still rounding the far turn in the Kentucky Derby, he is going to finish last by the time he crosses the wire. Big news is he's going to make his return in the Perryville. So Vinny from Real Dynasty, he can finally celebrate his boy Soup and Sandwich is returning to the track.
I still give him credit, man. That was a great call. Was it Soup and Sandwich? No, it was Helium that won down in Tampa Bay, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Soup and Sandwich I don't think has won anything. He got second in the Florida Derby, but
yeah, I give him no credit for Soup and Sandwich. Helium was a great call. He picked him out of the Woodbine Fishbowl and dropped him into the Tampa Bay world and got into some nice points in the fantasy league with that horse. But yeah, Soup and Sandwich hasn't done much. Still a great name though. Still a great name.
Dennis wants to know if you're planning on Mike and Magic presidential run. Listen, I am nobody's running mate. No, there's too many skeletons in the old closet. You do not want.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for the top billing there for a second.
Oh, no. You thought that was my...
I was like, oh, that's how this is, huh? I mean, I'd happily take vice president because then we could have some fun with horse racing, man. Get a couple bills passed. We could take this over, make everyone report to a single horse racing dictator, which would be great. I'm happy to take that position. A level takeout, even drugs across the board, just kick trainers out of the game, find the owners too. Like, I'm all for it, man. Let's do it.
Just you be president or vice president. Just make me the Secretary of Commerce. That seems like it's a pretty easy job to do. Mike, before we get into the Keeneland card Wednesday, what's the best thing that you've seen probably in the last week, other than of course our nation's capital?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty easy, man. I showed you this before the show. I'm pumped up. This little puppy came in the mail right there. That is our Breeders' Cup championship ticket. It's got these nice little guys. We are officially like 2 weeks away. Can't wait to get out to Del Mar. I'm pumped up to be out at Breeders' Cup, be able to play BCBC, and be on site for the Breeders' Cup this year. I cannot wait to get out there. It's going to be an absolute blast. I'm flying in Wednesday. I'll be at the track Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Hopefully the bank account will be intact when I'm done.
Yeah, no kidding. That's exciting. Yeah, you were showing me the passes. I was like, man, that's great. First, I was like, the press passes, we just go pick them up. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Mike's better than media. Mike is BCBC qualified. So, yeah, congrats.
Media passes can go in the paddock. I don't think I can get in the paddock with those.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, no, they won't let you anywhere near that. Well, actually, you will be very near the paddock. I know exactly where that room is at. You'll be really close to the paddock, actually, with where you'll be there. Best thing that I saw yesterday, we had our first successful day trip with Colson, so that was a lot of fun. We went to a pumpkin patch about 45 minutes northwest of here, kind of way up in the mountains, and it's like a 50-acre farm, and there's a corn maze and a big old pumpkin patch and like antique tractors everywhere. The front half of it was like a fair, like a county fair, where you've got all sorts of like animals and petting zoos and lots of like wacky stuff like that, carnival food, carnival games. And then out back, it was a big, just giant literal farm, and you just kind of pick your own produce. So if you want like carrots and raspberries and broccoli and sunflowers, they're all right there. You can go get them. But it was fun because it was the first time we'd ever been out of the house for several hours at a time like that, and not being at somebody else's house. So it was a successful first trip, and it was a lot of fun. We had great weather, and of course, adorable photos with him, around the pumpkins in the pumpkin patch.
We actually hit up the pumpkin patch on Sunday. So I feel you, man. Yeah, we did the pumpkin patch thing too. It's a lot of fun. It's more fun as they get older, I'll tell you. And then those first trips out of the house are always crazy because you end up bringing like everything you own. So you have like massive bags and the strollers and all that jazz. And you figure it out later down the road. You really don't need all that shit. You can tone it back a little bit and you'll be just fine.
So what's funny about that is I was kind of in charge of getting everything. Like, I made myself in charge of getting everything ready so that we could go. Changed. And let's see, I remembered the Bjorn. I did the overpacking thing. I was like, assume the car breaks down and we don't get home until like midnight. What do I need? So way too many, diapers, way too many onesies. We get all the way there, and it's one of those things where the farm is a mile off the highway, but it's so popular it takes you a half hour to go that last mile. Yep. And I'm sitting there just like bumper to bumper behind a pickup, and then follow this pickup for maybe 10 miles on the highway, and I'm like, it finally dawns on me what's in the back. It's one of those wagons where you got the handle sticking up that I can see in the pickup. All I saw was the handle. I was like, oh, it's one of those wagons. He's probably got a couple kids. He's going to the farm. Son of a bitch, I left the stroller at home.
The one thing you can't forget. Come on, Magic.
So I did remember the Bjorn. So disaster was averted in that case, and it ended up working out well because he slept on the way there. He was awake the entire time we were at the farm, slept the whole way home. Which was nice because it was a peaceful car ride. Problem is, we got home, we're exhausted, and he's wide awake, and we're just like, we're both sitting on the couch, like one hand up. We're just like holding toys above him, just lazily. We're like, yeah, just look at the keys. Is it 7:30 yet? It's 6:45. Shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was a lot of fun though. And Dennis wants to know over under on the time to get out of the corn maze. Man, it took a long time, but that's because there were a lot of people and it was narrow walkways, and so actually like moving through there quickly was tough.
Yeah, my wife and I race in corn mazes. Like, we're wildly competitive trying to get through corn mazes. She's significantly better.
You're wildly competitive? I never would have guessed that.
It's like the one thing. That's not the one thing. It is something that she is much better than me at, so she can beat me at consistently. So she enjoys doing corn mazes. I'm not gonna lie, not very good at those.
That was only I think the second one I've ever tried. I did one in I think somewhere in Michigan, but yeah, it was fun. But yeah, it was way too many people around and like little kids screaming, and then I started to forget where I went. So it took me a long time. Dennis is the answer, but we have one more answer for you. Hopefully, we're going to give you the winning horses for Keeneland's late pick for Wednesday. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. All right, Mike, kicking off the late pick 4 sequence at Keeneland on Wednesday, October 20th, race 5. We've got a field of 10 juvenile colts and geldings Maiden's going 6 furlongs on the main track. Favoritism is on the number 2, Fan the Fire here for trainer Mike Maker. Finished second and third in a pair of dirt sprints to Saratoga. Goes to Kentucky Downs, well beaten 8th on the turf in the juvenile mile stakes. He's cutting back to dirt to one turn and back to dirt here. His buyers say, Mike, he's the best of the experienced runners, but we've got 6 new shooters making their debuts. Knowing you like I do, you're taking at least a couple new shooters here, right?
Chuck him out. Why are you using the favorite here? Don't use the favorite. Are we sure Fan the Fire even wants to run on dirt? I mean, I realize the buyers were better on dirt than turf, but they tried to put this horse on turf for a start, and it rained off, and then they throw him out on dirt in the second start. Then they send him back to turf in the third start. It's a Maker horse. I mean, are we sure the horse wants dirt? I'm going to say no. I'm going to vote no. I'm going to vote with my dollars. And I'm going to go to the 6 horse, Pancake House, great name, by the way, and throw him on top here for Thomas Drury. Look, Drury's this is only going to be Drury's 5th starter here in the Keeneland meet. He can get a horse ready to go first time out, 15%, 25% trainer overall. CJ Hernandez picks up the mount, is 10% with Pancake House. It's McLean's Music horse. McLean's Music is one of those horses when the first time starter goes out as a 2-year-old, you got to respect it. 19% first out win percentage for McLean's Music. So I like Pancake House. It's house at 8-1 here. The 6 horse. The other must use for me is right to the outside. Mask Patrol, I think, is really, really interesting. The 7 horse. Horse comes out of the Brendan Walsh barn. He's 13% with first-time starters, but look at the ROI, $3.79. That's a massive ROI, especially for 13%. So you're getting prices home, right? You're not getting some chalk horses home. Hard Spun, another good first-out sire, $35,000 standing fee, $310,000. So almost a 10 to 1x. And then you look at the workout pattern, and this is what really gets me. You got a gate work, 35 and change, 4 back. Then you have a 1 out, 1 just breezing. Then you go out of the gate again at Keeneland. And then you blow him out going 3 furlongs for a bullet last time out over this Keeneland dirt. I think this horse has a ton of speed. And that's the one thing that I'm kind of concerned about here is that Fan the Fire, who's going to be your favorite, has some speed, but isn't the fastest horse out of the gate here. And if someone's in front of Fan the Fire, I'm not sure that Fan the Fire is going to be able to pass him. And so if the horse can't get the lead, I don't really want this horse to be stuck on the inside, having to pass horses, having to be professional. And we haven't seen Fan the Fire be able to do that. So my 2 must-uses in here are going to be the 2 first-time starters, the 7 horse Mask Patrol and the 6 horse Pancake House. I am going to go 4 deep. Did you use either the 6 or the 7, Magic?
You and I are on the same train here where we're both chucking the favorite and we're looking for prices on top, especially with 2 first-time starters. I agree with you on the 7 Mask Patrol. You nailed every point that I had on there. The 6 I didn't look as closely as you did, and I'm sitting here thinking I might by Saturday add this horse because you made great points. Was the 4th horse for me, but you made pretty compelling points, so I like the 6 horse a little bit there. The other first-timer I like, even better price than those 2, is the 4 Arrow Strike at 12-1. Vicky Oliver, Rafael Bejarano, they have a low percentage together, but it seems like they win more than that percentage indicates. They just must run a lot. It's like Gutierrez and Doug O'Neill in California. They just run so many damn horses together. Gutierrez and O'Neill are like 12%, but you can usually trust that they're going to be pretty solid. Cupid's 10% with the debut horses. It took his runners a little bit of time to get going, but as we're getting into the fall, I noticed they're starting to pop. We just had Rattle and Roll. Or no, he's from Connect. I'm sorry. That's who I was. That he's by Connect. But Cupid is 10% with 2-year-old debut winners. I like that, just like the 7, you've got multiple fast works over this track. Just like the 7, I like that the 4 is going to be running out of his own stall when they're young like this, a first-time start. You don't want a horse that's going to be shipping from Ellis Park, from Churchill Downs, like, say, the 5, who's going to be, this is all new Keeneland, and now you're asking them to run for the first time. A lot of new things happening there. You can at least trust the 4 and the 7. They'll be hopefully a little bit more professional because they know where the hell they're at there.
Yeah, I agree with your points on the 4. I actually decided not to use this horse because this is one I'm interested second time out. It's interesting. You mentioned Cupid, 10% first-time starters. He's actually 50% routing, 2 for 4. Kind of wow. Crazy. So it's the second start route Cupid angle is something that I'm looking for right now because it seems like his progeny went a little bit more distance. So I'm keeping an eye out for Cupid horses that are going to be going 2 turns. I think that's going to be awfully interesting moving forward. Oliver is also just 3% first time out. So that also is a little bit of a concern to me on the 4 horse. I did go to the horse right to the inside of it, Improbable Journey, who's sitting on the board at 12-1. Look, Larry Jones, everything he has sent out at this meet has been wildly live. He's got 5 starters. He's got 1 win, 3 seconds. So he's bringing his best stock here. He was clearly prepping for this meet. I don't want to fade a horse, especially when I'm getting 12-1 for a trainer that's 15% first time out, who clearly has a live barn. And the works are kind of under the radar good, if you will. I mean, you have that 48 out of a gate, 3 back. I know that this is one of those that you mentioned is shipping in from Churchill, but I kind of like the fact that we're trying to sneak this one in here at Keeneland, which is a little bit more of a prestigious meet and one that a lot of people want to end up in the winner's circle, especially for Kentucky bred horses. So I'm going to use the 3 Improbable Journey at a big price here at 12-1 as well. And then last horse on the ticket for me, you mentioned the 5-horse Camargo, Steve Asmussen. He's got another in here, and that's the one I think is a little more interesting. Pine Valley all the way to the outside. It's another McLean's Music horse. Santana chooses to ride this one, and that to me is really why I ended up on the 10. I mentioned before that I don't think the 2 is the speed of the speed. The 10 is faster than the 2. And so I have a feeling that Pine Valley is going to be able to make the lead. If Pine Valley makes the lead, then watch out. I think the 2 is going to be in a lot of trouble. And if you go back and you look at that Pine Valley race, it's produced quite a few good horses out of it. Now, the winner comes back and runs in a $500,000 stakes and runs 13th. But Command Performance, we know all about him. He has come back, and now he's one of the Derby favorites right now. I think he's 40-1 on the board. The third place horse came back to win. The horse who finished directly in front of Pine Valley came back to run second and third, and both improving their buyer exponentially in maiden special weight. So that race looks really live. And I think the 10 makes the lead here. So I'm going to use Pine Valley as the 4th horse on my ticket.
That was my top pick. This is I was a little nervous because you've got a horse that was pretty ignored at Saratoga. Granted, it's Saratoga, and you had some big names there like Command Performance, who you mentioned. But horse is almost 11-1 when it's Asmussen Santana. And here now it's 4-1. So you're getting a huge drop there when the horse didn't. But maybe he just didn't love the mud. That's what I'm banking on. That this horse, just the mud probably threw him off. It was debuting. I just talked about how you throw a lot of new things at a horse when he's debuting at 2 can really screw with him. So we're both going to hope that was just an error there. We'll scratch that off and forgive it and give him one last shot. I didn't use here, but a question about the 9 Mumayaz, if I'm saying that correctly. This horse was 44-1 on debut, finishes 5th. 33-1 basically in the second race, finishes 4th. This horse is now 9-2. Is there way too much? This horse is going to be way over bet here. I don't understand the line, is my point.
I think you have a couple morning line issues. I mean, you're not getting 4-1 on the 10. Let's start out there, right? There's no chance. The 7 is not going off at 10-1. The 9 is going to go off closer to 10-1. I mean, you also not only that, but you have the trainer for the 9 is 2 for 38 on the year. It's 0 for 13 with 2-year-olds. I mean, there's a bunch of stats to point away from the 9. So unless there's been juice in the morning about this horse, and I've heard nothing. Unless there's been some steam there, or for some reason this horse is just going to pop. I mean, then maybe the 9 goes off at 9-2. But I would expect the 9 is closer to 10-1, and the 7 is closer to 9-2.
Well, and if you look at the form, there's a bullet last work, but that bullet was a minute and 4, a best of 9. You're a best of 9, but the other 8 weren't really going all that fast for that work. So, okay, I wanted to get your opinion, and I put the comment up there. Dennis says at the 7, no way that horse is going to be 10-1. So that makes me a little sad, but at least I understand. We'll move on to the second leg here, the race 6 of the late pick 4 sequence at Keeneland on Wednesday, October 20th. Field of 6 fillies and mares 4 and up, routing them out on the 16th on the turf. It's a weird conditional allowance. There's way too many things to read off. Basically, Mike, it feels like they wrote a Mike Somich favorite conditions for this race just so that she could run. That is your favorite, the rail horse Daddy's a Legend, at 7-5. 11 days ago, she finished 8th in the Grade 1 First Lady, going a mile over this track. Will Mike make her a single in search of redemption for both of them after he tried playing her in that race?
Well, if I play a pet press ticket on Saturday, I will be singling her. Right now, I'm just doing a 50-cent ticket. I'm going to go too deep here, but on any type of press ticket, I'm probably singling Daddy's a Legend. Not just because, if you go back and watch that race, she had a just awful trip. She hit the gate early. She
didn't like the day.
It was over before it started for her. It's a complete cross-out race. She was 8 lengths back early and just never really involved. And she's usually faster than that. It's just everything went wrong for Daddy's a Legend. And on top of that, you also have Blowout, who is just an absolute lone leader. When you look at it, and she actually closed ground on Blowout late, it's not that unimpressive of a final furlong or 2 for her. So I didn't think it was that bad of a race from her. It was just no chance. So I'm going to put Daddy's Legend on top. I think she makes the most sense here. 7-5, I think, is about the right price. It'll be interesting to see if you get that. If she floats up to 2-1, I'll be playing her to win. I do think that she's a win value at that price. The other horse I'm going to use here, and this is just kind of one that I'm hoping takes a big time step forward, is the 3-horse Past the Plate. We talk a lot about second off the layoff later in the 4-year-old season. This is exactly what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a horse like that. This is out of a horse. She's by Temple City, who is a very good turf sire. The horse is 1-for-2 at Keeneland. Ran a good race last time out at Kentucky Downs, but faced Henley Woods and Sweet Melania. So it was in a solid race, and now is stepping up a little bit in class, but not a ton because this didn't come up that tough. So you've got a $93,000 allowance, and you've got some good horses in here like Dominga and whatnot. But if she can take a step forward, and a significant step forward, but a nice step forward, she should be competitive in this field. You look at the Bewitched, the grade 3, she runs third over this exact Keeneland course. That was at 1.5 miles. I'm hoping that she can handle this 1 1/16 and be able to get the job done at a nice price. We're getting 6-1 on the line right now. She's going to need a little bit of pace in front of her, but she is the one who I think most logically can take a step forward.
You and I had kind of a similar pathway here that we both like Daddy's Legend on top, and we're looking for, well, what's a price play? I don't feel confident enough in her to single in this spot. I was between the 3 horse and the one I ended up using just to the inside, the 2 Princess Causeway, just because, Mike, based off of the time form pace rating and how it's projecting right now, this feels like the only horse that's got a lot of speed who can go 23 and change if she needs to up front. The other horses who, when they're in this field, that have shown in the past that they can lead, they're doing 24 and change, 25 and change. This feels like she might be able to get a loose lead, possibly go gate to wire. Depends on what happens with Daddy as a Legend. She must be doing well because they wouldn't bring her back 8 days later in this, or sorry, 18 days later in this spot. But 11, I can't count. 11 days later in this spot. But it feels like this horse Princess Causeway is pretty in form. The ladies' turf last time out, she faded very late, but that was also Kentucky Downs. That stretch goes on forever. She probably just like, where the hell's the damn wire? I'm usually there by now. So I'm willing to scratch that off a little bit. She has had buyers improving each time. So based on the fact that she could potentially wire this field, I'm going to use her.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, I looked at the 2, I looked at the 3. I mean, I'm going to be against the 4. For the price, I'm not interested. I don't feel like you can play both the 1 and the 4 and have any type of positive equity in your ticket. So I'm going to use the 1 and not use the 4. I thought really you could make a case for the 2, the 3, or the 5 if you wanted to. I do think that there's a little more speed in here than you're necessarily projecting, because I think that the 6 has some speed, the 4 has some speed, the 5 even goes a little bit every now and then. So I'm hoping that someone goes out there and kind of hooks up a little bit with Princess Causeway. But I think class prevails here, and Daddy the Legend is the class of the field. So I think Daddy's Legend is going to be awfully tough up front. I'm just hoping someone can take a step forward and hoping it's past the plate to be able to get the job done.
We'll move on to the third leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Keeneland on Wednesday, October 20th. Race 7 on the card, where we've got optional claimers, now winners 2 other than fillies and mares. Field of 7 of them, 3 and up, going 7 furlongs on the main track. Number 2, Movie Moxie is your 8-5 favorite, making her second start for trainer George Weaver. She exits a fading 4th, going this distance at Saratoga. She's 0 for 4 overall, going 7 furlongs, but her recent buyers tell you she's probably as good as or better than anyone else in this field, at least based off of the buyers. But where did you go here?
I didn't put her on top, but I'm going to go too deep and use her. The thing with Movie Moxie is that she's been facing better. When you look at the horses that have been running against her, if you look 4 back, she faced Spice is Nice. 3 back was Lady Rocket. Even Union Maiden last time out with Whispering Pines running second. He was a big favorite coming back. So they're fairly tough races. This is second off the layoff, second off the layoff for a later 4-year-old horse. Movie Moxie makes a ton of sense here. And she's also got tactical speed, which I think is really the reason you almost have to use her. There's not much speed in this race for a 7 furlong sprint. It's the reason I'm going to use the 1 horse Tipsy Girl on top here, who's 4-1 for Dallas Stewart, who's having a pretty good Keeneland meet himself. I think this is one speed, and speed was very good over the weekend at Keeneland over that dirt course. I realize it's going to be a faster course, but speed's generally good at Keeneland anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's off or fast. So for me, Tipsy Girl on the inside, I think could take this field wire to wire. She's faded a couple times in the past, but she's never had an easy loose lead. And I think that's what you're going to see here. I mean, if she look at last race, she went 22-4, 44-3 against Stakes Company, going 7 furlongs at Colonial. She may be get away with like a 45 and 4, even a 46 opening half mile in this field and still be a length up. She does that. I mean, watch out. She's going to be awfully dangerous.
Be curious to see what happens with the 4 Big Bend, Louisiana, is a 3-year-old trying dirt for the first time. She showed a lot of speed on turf, but you don't know how that's going to translate coming over here. As far as her messing, I don't think she has a chance really to win. It'd be a very big surprise to me if she did. But as far as the pace goes, I don't know what's going to happen there. The 2 moving Moxie was my top pick. I think that she is going to be able to sit just off. You mentioned that she's got the tactical speed. I went with the other 3-year-old in here, the 5 Thinking. This is the only other horse like movie Moxie. I'm sorry, this is the only horse who's got the track and distance win. So she's won at 7 furlongs over Keeneland. She did it to break her maiden here last fall. She's coming off of a win going a 1-turn mile at Laurel Park. She was buried on the rail in Laurel Park's rail can sometimes be really, really dirty. She ends up winning by 4 lengths. So I'm going to use her here. She is facing older horses, but she has, her last race, she defeated older horses. Grand Motion is a trainer I'm going to trust. Puts her in a good spot here. I feel like this is a good spot.
Yeah, I looked at the 5. 5 is actually my 3rd pick in the race. But when you kind of dig into that last race that she won, it's just not much there. I mean, she ran a 76 buyer for that race. No one in that race had run a 70-plus buyer the previous 2 starts for them. So it's not like that she beat very much there. Time isn't great. The last furlong wasn't great. I mean, so I kept trying to go back to someone I thought I could get home at a price here. And the 5 was kind of the logical one I thought you could try and take a shot at. Same with the 7 if you really wanted to. Maybe even the 4 if you think the turf is going to translate over the dirt. But the more I dug into it, the more I felt like the 1's going to be loose and the 2 is going to be right behind her. And like, it's going to be tough to pass those 2 down the lane.
Yeah, I did look closely at the 1, but my concern with her was would she be able to hold on, and I didn't think that she'd be able to hold off the 2. So in that case, that's where I went, but I totally understand why you're going with the rail horse. Let's move on. We're going to talk about the 8th race at Keeneland now, the last one of the late pick 4 sequence on Wednesday, October 20th. Field of 12 juvenile fillies plus 3 also eligibles, routing them on the 16th on the turf. 4 of these juvenile fillies, Mike, they are debuting, but your favorite is the rail horse, already charming. 5-2 favorite for Brad Cox, Florent Giroux. Nearly broke her maiden on debut going this distance at Ellis Park. Misses by a half length. Then she goes to Kentucky Downs. She's a big favorite, 6-5, and she really hates the loading process, just is not enjoying being at Kentucky Downs. Don't understand why. It looks like a lovely place. She quit racing halfway through. So you can scratch that race off. But the question is, which one of these fillies are you going to get? Is it the filly that you can trust? It almost won on debut at this distance at Ellis Park, or is it the one that's going to throw another fit and isn't going to want to race here? What'd you do?
Yeah, that's a tough part. I used Always Charming. She has shown the most talent, and that race actually came back really good. California Angel won that race at 28-1, but came back to win a graded stakes for George Arnold at Keeneland here. So that race came back very productive from Kentucky Downs. I'm going to kind of give her a pass there because if she runs back to the first race, she's going to be awfully tough. There's also not a just plethora of speed in this spot, so you may have a horse there can kind of inherit the lead from the rail and get a nice trip going this mile and a 16th distance. I thought the 4 was really interesting. This ended up being my top pick. Give me Mo Baby. And this is a Jimmy Creed horse. You know, I love me some Jimmy Creed on turf. Coming out of a good Kentucky Downs race where I thought she ran well, showed some late interest, was able to kind of split some foes and get out for 3rd. And this is interesting. So Cara Toye, I may be mispronouncing the last name. No one really has heard of her, but she's actually the daughter of this year's winning trainer at Emerald. So she comes from a very good pedigree in that sense. So I expect that she's going to do very well. It's got a limited barn, limited starters. So I'm hoping that because of that, we can kind of see the price float up a little bit because no one knows who the trainer is. But like I said, she grew up around this. Her father is very, very good at this. So I'm hoping that she's able she's got that horsemanship passed on to her.
2 questions for you. 1, if you are the connections of Azamana Empire, who finished 2nd ahead of her in that race, and you drew all the way outside 15, you need 3 horses to scratch before you can even make this field. If you're those connections, how pissed are you that you're that far out when this race, when a horse that Mike Zamovich is picking is going to make the field? Also, my concern with her is she going to be overbet to the point that she's got some negative value. She's 4-1 here. That Kentucky Downs race, she was coming and she was gaining in the ground and not always easy to do on yielding turf. But I'm a little worried that because of how visually impressive it was, 61-1 that day, 4-1 here could be lower.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the connections floated up a little bit. And there's also some more interesting horses in here that are more interesting first-time stars that I'm hoping are going to take some money that are a little bit bigger numbers on the line than what I was expecting. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm hoping that we can get maybe 4-1, 5-1 on the 4 horse. I agree with you, though. It's going to be interesting to see who ends up in this field because you have a couple horses that are in the also eligibles that would definitely take money if they were able to draw in or in pretty compromising post positions if they had hung all the way out there.
Speaking of horses that compromising post positions, I went too deep. I used the bookends. I got the rail horse. I got Zambak all the way outside in post 12. This is the first-time starter for Brian Lynch. He was 14% with first-time starters. Speaking of 14%, Kitten's Joy, first-time juveniles, 14% winner, also 14% overall in turf. He's a great turf route sire. We know that. He's out of a dam who won a 1.5 mile stakes over this course, so we got a little bit of breeding that's going to suggest not only going long, but going long at Keeneland is going to be good for this horse. Both the siblings are multiple route winners. They both won their second starts at age 2, so I'm hoping that this horse, that she can kind of bypass that and be good enough to win first time out. But the fact that they both won second start at age 2 means they're still precocious, so this horse does have a lot of potential at 2. The post is a little concerning, but 1 mile and a 16th. I'm hoping Mitch Murrow can get her over, and let's bet Mitch get rich, go home.
You know, when I bet Mitch, I lose my money. I don't think he's ever won a race for me. I am using here.
Damn it, that makes me mad now.
I'm going to end up throwing the 12 on the ticket because at least it's a price of 10-1 for all the reasons you mentioned. I mean, the mother has turned out 2 very good horses so far, so hopefully we can get a third one here. And Lynch gets them out. Usually gets them ready first time out with a 14% win percentage, over $2 ROI. So I agree with you on the 12. I included the 12 on the ticket. I ended up with 2 other horses here that I thought were interesting. I'm going to go with the 8 Cold Call. This is George Arnold, who we just talked about winning a stakes. He's 25%. Everything he's sending out is live right now. Frosted's 11% first-time starters, only 8% turf. So I'm a little concerned on that front, but this is out of a Smart Strike mare. The horse should really like the turf, and I think is definitely going to want 2 turns. My biggest concern here is George Arnold doesn't necessarily get him ready first out. He's only 4%. So that's kind of where I'm worried, but at a price, I'm interested in the 8, especially because I don't think this field is a bunch of world beaters. And last, I'm going to go to the 11, Twin Cause. This is a Brendan Walsh horse. Look, this is one that just kind of needed that first start. I think that the additional distance is going to be a good thing. This barn is 19% second-time starters. This is a affiliate by Creative Cause out of an Arch mare, so the stretch out should be good. The workouts are good. And it's coming out of a very live race from Kentucky Downs again. I mean, you'll notice we're talking a lot about Kentucky Downs. The horses that have come back have been winning out of those races and have been fit. So a horse second time out over this course, I think, has a good shot. A little concerned with the post. I mean, you mentioned the 12 post, 11 post, not exactly the best post to break from, especially going 1 mile 16th on the turf. So they're going to have to work out a trip. But I don't love a ton of other horses. And I do think that one horse could be dangerous if you're able to trip out on the inside. So I ended up going 5 deep here. I'm going to go with the 1, 4, 8, 11, and 12.
Ricardo, I can't believe he's 0 for 36 at Keeneland this meet. Asmussen must be saving all the bullets for Del Mar. That's the guy that led everybody in graded stakes, but grade 1 wins at Saratoga is 0 for 36 at Saratoga. I didn't use the horses that you talked about. I gave the 8 a really long look. I really wanted to try and make a case for the 8, but there were just too many factors that say, wait and play this horse. Like, we could very well on Thursday's show, when we start, say, hey, by the way, stable up the 8. This is a horse that you're really going to want to play next out because it looked like he just needed the race. She needed the race. Aaron brought up the 7, and this is a horse I had looked at a little bit too, is a Kenny McPeak trainee who debuts on dirt, runs okay, passes probably some stumble bunnies there. Now he's going to go over to turf, and Kenny McPeak is only 4% going dirt to turf. I feel like that number should be higher because it seems like when he goes dirt to turf, it usually works out well. He's 13% with horses making their second starts as maidens. This is a daughter of Gormley. This is an angle you like. $5,000 stud fee, sold for $200,000 this year. So, thoughts on the 7?
Gormley is not great on turf as a sire. We haven't seen. I think Gormley has 1 winner so far in turf. I think it's only out of 4 starts, so it's not 25%. Is actually pretty good there, but that's routing and sprinting. I think Gormley is 0 for. Let me pull up the stats real quick. So turf sprints 0 for 3, turf routes 1 for 4. Overall is 1 for 7 on turf. But the buyer that won was a 58, and the average buyer, the median buyer, has been a 41. So not very great numbers there for Gormley over the turf. It's one of the main reasons I didn't use the horse. The other one, McPeak has 2 in here, and we often talk about follow the rider when it's Ricardo Santana and Asmussen. Mm-hmm. Well, with McPeak, there's some follow the rider as well, and he's got he's got Brian Hernandez up on the 3-horse Hal's Dream. 49 starts with Brian Hernandez. He's 22% at Keeneland. Over 226 starts, he's 23% at any track. And you look at CJ Landry's numbers, only 11 starts at Keeneland, 0 winners, 69 starts anywhere, 12%. So significantly worse with Landry than with Hernandez. So If I was going to play a McPeak, I would play the 3-horse, but I generally don't like playing McPeak horses first time out. So I kind of strayed away from both the 3 and the 7 in this case.
That's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining Mike and I to go through Keeneland's late pick 4 sequence. It was a fun little last-second decision. I'm glad we did it. We're going to go ahead and give it our tickets right below here, so you can take a look. We will do some football talk afterwards, so if you want to hang around for that, great. If not, here are our tickets. Mike, I'll go ahead and start. I'm going to go 4, 7, 10. Whoops, did it not go up? Sorry. My computer's being a jerk again. There we go. 4, 7, 10 with 1, 2, with 2, 5, with 1, 12. That's $24 for 50 cents. If you feel like pressing that harder, by all means, go for it. And your ticket, please.
I'm going to play a 50-cent ticket as well. I'm going to go 3, 6, 7, 10 with 1, 3, with 1, 2, with 1, 4, 8, 11, 12. That'll cost you $40 for 50 cents. If you want to shorten it up, I would stingle the ones in the 2 middle legs, and that's how I would press the ticket.
Go wide, single, wide. Yeah, that can work out sometimes. Mike, pretty fun weekend as far as the sports action goes, unless you're a Detroit's fan. But listen, the Red Wings won their second game. I'll give them that. Did you see what happened to the Red Wings?
No, I saw Larkin got kicked out.
So home opener, huge deal, sellout crowd. They honor him because he was the captain for the first time last year, but they didn't have fans, so they didn't do a ceremony. So they bring out every old fart that's ever worn the C in the winged wheel comes out, and they do a presentation. It was really great. It was really awesome. I got pretty emotional the way they did it. And they go up 4-1 on Tampa, the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion Tampa Bay Lightning. Then they go up 6-3. And then they lost 7-6 in overtime. So it was a very Detroit Lions way of losing the game. However, they bounced back very strongly against Vancouver. Dylan Larkin got kicked out because he got shoved from behind into the boards, like head first, and he's just now recovering from a bad neck injury last year from someone else. And Dylan got mad, so he got up and he went to swing at the guy to get his attention because he wanted to fight, and he just so happened to cold cock him straight in the face. It's pretty great. As a Red Wings fan, I loved it because he literally just as he's getting up, swings his arm, right, and then knocked Joseph straight down to the ice. But they kicked him out, gave him a 1-game suspension, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, sorry, I just turned into Jared about the Chiefs there. Let's talk about football here. That's what the people care about. The Mike Sandwich 6-pack, depending on what number you got on certain things and when you placed it, you had a profitable weekend. I know your parlay hit, so hopefully whether or not you got that price on the Chiefs team total, the parlay should have gotten you at least in the black for the weekend. Talk about how things went overall, and then we got a Monday Night Football game here to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. We went 3-3 on the official numbers. A lot of people got 30.5 instead of 31.5 on the Chiefs team total, which would have got you to 4-2. But it was a profitable weekend because we had the nice little parlay in there. Honorable mentions: I went 3-3 or 3-2, depending if you could bet the Hunts rushing over. So that was pretty good as well. So we'll take that. Yeah, I've got to say I am really disappointed in the Cleveland Browns. I mean, that was one of the worst efforts I have seen early on in a game. That first quarter was absolutely atrocious, and they were the ones who let me down this week. I'm not going to lie. And my Baker Mayfield top 10 quarterback, I mean, he may be plummeting to the bottom 10 after having to watch that. I would almost rather have Tua than Baker at this point.
Sticking on that game real quick, the Arizona Cardinals, they're 6-0, right? Are they actually the best team in the NFL? Do you believe that they're the best team? Okay.
No, I'd happily book any Cardinals Super Bowl bets. I mean, they're just I get why people are excited about them, but Kyler Murray is a ticking time bomb. When he is completely healthy, he is an MVP candidate. When he gets hurt, they stop running him, and when they stop running him, that offense is in a lot more trouble. They've had a rather easy schedule. I mean, they were able to beat the Rams, which is a big win for them. Seattle was banged up. This Cleveland team was absolutely obliterated by injuries by the end of that game, missing both their running backs. Their wide receiver core is banged up. Their defense is banged up. They're starting to get some people back there, but they were fortunate to kind of just have this piling of injuries on top of it. I don't think that they end up winning the division. I still think the Rams end up winning that division in the long term. So, look, it's still the Bucs. It's still the Chiefs. They're going to figure it out. I mean, the Chiefs are still missing 4 starters on defense. They're turning the ball over 3 times a game, and they still won last week. Like, everyone just needs to as Aaron Rodgers would say, just relax. Everyone's just got to relax, especially with the 17-week season. The cream's going to rise to the top.
As far as the Monday Night Football game goes, the actual best team possibly in the league, the Buffalo Bills. I know a lot of people like him. They love Josh Allen, best quarterback in the league. There is I mean, when Jared Welch will say it, that must be true. If it's not about Patrick Mahomes, they're going to Tennessee, so they're going on the road for Monday Night Football. What are your initial thoughts on Monday Night Football? And then are there any specific bets, whether it's the spread or something else that you like here?
I'm keeping an eye on it and see if I can get 7 with Tennessee. I like Tennessee in this spot. They are underrated. Buffalo is pretty much at their peak value right now. They're going to be a very public side tonight. And Tennessee is starting to get their wide receivers back. A.J. Brown and Julio Jones both playing tonight. So they're getting healthier. They're playing at home, a primetime game. If you can catch a touchdown, I like them. I had Seattle last night, and that one was just one of those stinky games that you kind of hated to watch. But it was nice to be able to get it home. So I have a feeling that you're going to want to be on the dog tonight. I like the team total for Tennessee. If you don't want to bet them, you can play the team total over. I think that's a good way to try and angle it out because they can go over and not cover in this spot because the Bills could put up a ton of points against them. So team total Tennessee over I think is worthwhile looking at. And then I'd like Tennessee just plus this. Right now it's 6.5. I'm hoping it gets up to 7 by game time. Let me check. I'll tell you the team total right now is 23.5 on Tennessee. I think they'll be able to put up 24.
Over at racingnews.com/sports, if you're watching the feed, you can see what here on your screen, all the information here. Papa Dude's got a bottom 10 after week 7, and his bottom 10 teams, they went 1-6. The other 3 teams didn't play. So Papa Dude is not only good at picking winners, he tells you who really sucks too. I love that that's going on. Here you see Dudes Who Bet. Aaron, you're watching. Your last few have been missing the T. It's been Dudes Who Be Sports, FYI. He's in the background. I needed to let him know. Anyways, Dudes Who Be Sports 017 will be live here. Oh, nope, he fixed it for this one. Dudes Who Bet Sports. Great, you got it back. They will be back here in about 40 minutes, so it's very entertaining. Aaron and Papa Dude are going to recap all the NFL and college football action, so make sure you tune into that. It'll be right here on this same YouTube channel, however you're watching us. Also available by podcast form, so if you miss it, you want to catch it when you're on the go, the podcast is a really great way to get that. But a lot of great action over here at racenews.com/sports. Mike Stomach is helping Papa Dude and Aaron build up the site here. It's really exciting to see how things are going. We're getting a lot of feedback. Everybody in the chat, this has been the most active people have been in one of our chats in a long time, is because we're talking football. So if you want to join in on that conversation to keep it going, come back here in 40 minutes. Join Aaron and Papa Dude. They love the interaction. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a blast, man. I'm sure we'll get a nice little rant out of Papa Dude as well. Aaron almost has to be like the trigger man. He's just poking Papa Dude to try and get those rants going because they are quite enjoyable. Yeah, so it's a good time. And it's going to be fun tonight. I especially like it when you get that Monday night action. You get to roll right into the game from watching them. Yeah,
thank you. I knew there was something I was missing. You can tune in. They'll take you right into Monday Night Football here. But yeah, look at this. I'm the only one waiting in the room. Come on. Why am I the only one waiting for this? Everybody get over there. They'll see you in about 42 minutes. We will see you back on Thursday. Mike, do you have a preference where you want to go? Looking at the stakes calendar, it looks like Keeneland's going to be the only thing with really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we'll check out the cards and decide. I want to see if it's going to be raining at Keeneland because I will say, if it does rain, you want closers on this turf. No one is winning wire to wire right now over this turf when there's moisture in it. So keep an eye out to see if it does rain. We also mentioned this. This is one other tidbit for the diehards here. Dylan Davis. We talked about him specifically when he was riding for Clement. Mm-hmm. They won a grade 1 over at Woodbine at 8-1 over the weekend. So Dylan Davis on top of Clement horses. Keep an eye out for that because he is getting their live mounts right now when it's not Rosario.
I meant to text you when I saw that horse won. I meant to text because I thought about that, but then Colsa did something cute in the pumpkin patch and I forgot. But congratulations, you were correct about that. Dylan Davis riding for the Clement stable.
Every now and then, that's just you get those interesting ones, and that's that. Like Dylan Davis on Clement horses. For some reason, Clement has decided to give him all his live mounts, and he's hit some pretty big numbers because you're not expecting it. You don't expect to see Dylan Davis on a Clement horse paying.
Be real interesting if Dylan Davis comes out if Clement gives him any Breeders' Cup rides. He probably won't. But Christophe Clement has never won at the Breeders' Cup. Well, Dylan Davis is really hot right now, riding for Clement. I'm just saying.
I would assume Rosario still gets first call, but I mean, and maybe it's because Miggs is agent and like there's something going on there, and that's how he's getting on him. But it's been interesting to see it happen over the last month or so about just the mounts that he's getting. It's amazing. It's good for him, man.
Well, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Kellaward. He is at SumObama18, number 1, number 8, Corporate Overlords, at Racing_Dudes. Once more, tune into Dudes Who Bet Sports later tonight. And then the Rocket Hour will be back this week. We'll be back on Thursday covering a sequence to be determined. Hey, maybe we do something fun. We do a cross country. We do Golden Gate's not back, so we can do Golden Hour. We'll do something fun. Just make sure you figure it out. We'll follow us so that you can figure it out with us. But we'll be back 5:30 Eastern, 2:30 Pacific on Thursday. Until then, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this weekend, and good luck tonight. The weekend's over. Good luck tonight, everybody. I'm going to go get a drink.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.